All right. Welcome on into the hot corner. In fact, we need to get that hot corner up there at the top, Eric.
Yeah, it's only us two right now. Yeah, we could do it. Won't get in the way.
There it is. Hot corner. There it is. Welcome to the hot corner, everybody, where tonight it's just Eric and I for so far. Lou will be joining us shortly. Not sure if Glenn will make it. I think he was at a Valkyries game or something, wasn't he?
He's all over. He's in Las Vegas.
Was that on the road? That was on the road, though.
He went to go see whoever the Vegas WNB is. But yesterday, he sent me some videos. He went and saw Buck Cherry open up for the Scorpions, man.
Oh, nice.
They're still killing it, man. Some the videos he sent me, I was like, wow, that dude.
All right.
The guy is like 79 years old, but he's still taking care of business.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, good to have everybody here join us. Again, it's the Hot Corner, NorCal Sports Network, and Giants Sports Talk Live. Do this every Sunday night, and we team up. So we'll get you going with some Giants baseball, some good stuff to talk about over the last couple of days. First, let us thank our sponsor of this show for NorCal Sports Network. That would be Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group is located in Marin and is licensed in all of California. Give Chapman Law Group a call for all your legal needs at 415-613-9483. You got a personal injury situation? Give Chapman Law Group a call. All right. And I know you got some sponsors there as well.
Signatures for Soldiers. It's a charity. I should say charity. It's an organization that helps disabled and also homeless vets. They sell collectibles to raise some money for the vets. It's awesome. We got bettercreditcards.com for all your credit card needs. Duxwell Printing. And then finally, for your sports memorabilia, you got the Lefties on Burlingame. There you go.
A lefty. Bring in the lefty.
If I tried to throw lefty, it would look pretty bad.
Hey, now I know what his weakness is in ping pong, everybody.
Good thing I used my right. I'm bringing the paddle.
Oh, man. Well, hey, the Giants get a couple of victories. They get the victories recently with their horses, with Webb and Ray, and they got to get those wins. Otherwise, it's really tough for them to string together anything. But today, man, great comeback. Get the Brewers in the ninth. Ramos with a big, huge hit. Chapman starts it off with a big double. And, Matos, what a series. I'm seeing a lot of comments.
Did you know in his last 8 games, he's got 9 hits, like 2 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs? I tell you what, Dan, I was writing him off. And, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but keep going.
Yeah, we'll get into the Matos thing. I think tonight we're going to cover a few things. We're going to be talking about the Giants here with Matos and what's the plans for him going forward. Is he it? Is he not it? We're also going to talk about Bryce Eldridge. The question tonight on Eldridge will be, should the Giants bring him up in September and give him a look for 25 games or so, or wait? So we'll talk about that. We'll wait till Lou gets in here. Maybe Glenn will be joining us. We're not sure yet. But this thing with Matos, Eric, is interesting because I have always felt like Matos was a guy they just needed to give him a chance. Give him a chance to play. And there's Lou. He's here. Lou. Straight from San Diego, where we got to go see the Giants and Justin. What do you call him? Eric? Justin who?
Oh, well, it was. And when I started off the season, it was Joey Lou, I don't give a shit. Then it turned into Joey Lou, I love you. In San Diego, it kind of reverted back. I
thought he was not Verlander, but Justin. Didn't he have 3 other letters or A? Did he start with an A?
I don't know about that one.
Justin? Didn't you title him something? Justin Verlander?
Well, man. Justin Asslander?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Justin, he was Asslander.
And guess what? We get to see him again Tuesday night.
I know.
What am I being punished? Am I being punished?
I think I'm getting
Go to
sick.
San Diego.
Might
Fly
have to
over to
rain
San
check.
Diego and see him. And now
Might
we
have
got to
to
fly over and got to fly up to San Francisco and see it again.
You know,
oh my
and
gosh.
You know what's sad about that? Just to kind of just talk about, he was pitching so well, and then he come out there and he threw a stinker. You know what? You guys should have gone to Milwaukee instead of San Diego. Would have saw better baseball.
Yeah, but they don't have Del Mar in Milwaukee.
Hey, but they do have beer and cheese.
Yeah, but anyway, we kind of this whole thing with Matos. Let's discuss Matos, because my feeling has always been, I don't know if he's going to make it and be really good, but I know one darn thing. They haven't given him a true fair shake of just letting him play 40, 50 straight games. That's what I was asking for earlier. Mm-hmm. Now it looks like they're finally saying 35 games, it's yours, Matos, because he's playing against righties. They didn't pinch hit him today when he came up in the ninth. He got another hit in the ninth, didn't he? Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So
a sharp ground ball to left.
In the left field between the third. Yeah.
He freaking knocked the snot out of it.
To me, is a guy that makes contact. Although he did strike out twice today, he generally makes more contact than the rest of the lineup. Him and Lee. So in a lineup with huge strikeouts, why not do something different? I'm hoping that the Giants are listening, because they did finally send down Grant McCray and, giving Matos a shot. And you have to, I think, because he's out of options. So
he's out of options. You got to see what you have.
You got to see what he's got the final 30 plus games. We'll see. What are you guys' thoughts on Matos?
Real quick, and then we get to this, Mark. Ed Halicki. And you know how I know? Because I watched the broadcast today. Ed Halicki.
Oh, yes. I would have gotten that. I didn't see that, but I was listening to the Milwaukee broadcast. I listened to that game with Lon Simmons.
Did you?
Yeah, 1975.
On the road.
I was 2 years old. I was just a young
I was 13.
But oh my God.
No, take that back. 14. 14.
Man,
I just turned 14. 75.
Real quick, as far as Matos, and I brought this up on Marty's show. And you know what? This is what triggered this thought. I remember when I was on with you and Ned Coletti. This is about a year and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
And I'll never forget when he's talking about with the Giants. Do you have anybody coming up for competition? Right? Is there a competition for a spot for a player to have? And if there isn't a competition, is there any incentive to a certain extent? Right? We're just playing head games here, though. To go out there and give it your all, right? It's a little bit different when you got a guy breathing down your neck. And look what happened recently. Buster Posey had young Drew Gilbert leapfrog both Matos and McCray to get playing time. So maybe Matos was like, you know what? I need to answer back. I need to show that I can do this. And maybe it just gave him a little bit more fire. I don't know. Granted, you still got to go out there and you got to compete, right? You got to go out there and take care of this. So it's good to see. Look, and I was one of the doubters. I was like, man, this obviously the Giants must have seen something and they're not giving him a chance, whatever it may be. And look, so far, I like what he's doing, both in the San Diego series and here in the Milwaukee series. He's doing okay. Doing okay. Let's see some more. How about that? Let's see some more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just give him the rest of the year, let him play it out, and see what he can actually do. And, one or two series doesn't make a career. So even though he had a good series, he's likely to, he's going to have some bad games. But as I was listening to, the Brewers broadcast today, and they were talking to Robin Yount in the press box in the booth, along with George Brett. Both of them they were talking about 3,000 hits, because both of those guys got 3,000 hits. And George Brett said it a different way. He says, yeah, we had 7,000 outs too. Right? And you think about that. I mean, anytime you fail 70% in most of anything, you're a complete failure. in life, anything, school, test, work, whatever it is, 70 doctor. Hey, I have 30% success rate on my surgeries.
See you, Doc.
Yeah. But in baseball, and now you 30%, and you're a Hall of Famer, if you're successful. And yet, we got people constantly in our chat, other chats. I watch others. People rip on a guy for having a bad day or a game or two.
You can't. You can't.
And
it's in a vacuum.
Things they said today with Bob Uecker, they were talking about Bob Uecker. They were saying, Bob never ripped into a player personally. He just didn't do that. But we do that at times, and I think it's sometimes very deserved. But I think unless somebody has a real track record of, a lot of at bats, I'm talking 1,000 at bats. When somebody has over 1,000 at bats, I think you pretty much can figure out who they are. But until they get that, Matos has a couple hundred at bats sprinkled in here and there, But guys like Adames, Chapman, Bailey, we're seeing these guys who strike out so much. You kind of know that's generally what you're going to get. You're going to get, you're going to get a lot of strikeouts. You're going to get some home runs from Chapman and Adames. But for the most part, you're not going to be, you're looking at 240 hitters. Bailey, you're looking at like a 220 hitter. But we don't know about Matos. He's a 200 hitter, but that's scattered in so many at bats.
Over the last couple of seasons, yes.
Give him another 100 plus at bats over the rest of the season. See what he does. What do you guys think?
There you go. Lou, go for it.
Well, I think today was a definition of two games. I've said the Giants are a tease job. That's what they did in the ninth. They showed that they can do it. But also, I think the team, very realistically, was exactly what happened in the sixth inning tonight. Today, in the top of the sixth, the Giants got a leadoff double, then a strikeout, a strikeout, a strikeout. I thought today in the ninth inning, one hit finally came through, but come on, they struck out 14 times. I thought today was very lucky that they got the W. They probably should have lost, but I think over 162 games, a lot of times you're going to win occasionally like this, but you're probably going to lose if there's 5 of them, 4 others. This team has a major, major problem, and Dan's brought it up. They strike out way, way too much. I mean, before Chapman came through today, he had struck out 7 out of 11 times since he's been back. 7 out of 11. This is your best, one of your best studs. That can't happen. He's not a leader. When you strike out that much, there's a problem. You bring up Devers, he strikes out. I mean, and the problem is these guys always seem to be 0-2, and they strike out on the exact same pitch. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Today I was doing about 3 things. So I was listening. I don't know in the ninth when they got the base hit why Matt Williams didn't send him.
Oh, he would have been out. He would have been
out. Okay. See, so I'm only watching on the internet. But, this team, I thought today got extremely lucky. Yesterday was a great win. Hey, one thing, too, is Milwaukee is a machine. They took 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, so I'm going to give them credit. But today I thought was very lucky. You can't strike out 14 times. This is now 11 out of the last 13 games they've struck out double digits. Winning teams don't last when you're striking out double digits. It's gotten to the point now where we almost expect it, and that's not what I want from my Giants. But, hey, overall, you win 2 out of 3 in the hottest team in the National League. I'm going to give you credit. They came through in the ninth, but this team's got still a lot of major flaws. I mean, Dan just laughed. It's the exact same pitch they strike out on. Today, 6th inning, leadoff double. How about Melvin get his head out of his ass and bunt a player over? So all we need is a sacrifice fly. We never, ever bunt the player over anymore. I don't know what it is.
What did we see in San Diego, Lou?
They hit behind the batter. They did
No,
whatever it
with the
takes to win.
Padres. What the Padres did.
3 straight bunts in a row. And I told Dan, I go, Dan, when was the last time you saw 3 bunts? They did the first bunt because Schmidt was too far back, and Schmidt then did an error, which was a tough play. Then they realized, hey, we got runners at first and third. What are we going to do? Schmidt went back. They bunted again. And it was literally 4 pitches. They bunt, bunt, bunt. 4 pitches, 3 bunts. And guess what the Giants did? They got nobody out. Because the difference between us and these winning teams is they're doing the little things. The problem with the Giants right now, they're not doing the little things. They're not hitting behind the runner. They're not bunting. They're not giving – even a sacrifice fly would be helpful. When you know, I've never seen a team where we get a leadoff double, nobody out, and the guy never moves. You know, and it's like, come on, guys. It's basic baseball. Little League World Series, they bunt. Today, they bunted twice to try to score the run. The Giants are sort of like, and I think one of the biggest problems with Melvin is he still thinks it's like 2012, 2013, 2014. The game has changed. Other teams have adapted, and the Giants have not adapted. You know, it's just one of those things. You get a leadoff double. Every other team's like, all right, good, we're going to score a run. The Giants, it's like a mystery because we don't put the ball in play. You know, we don't do the little things. And again, Dan always bought this up at the beginning of the year, Eric. You're going to win 50 games. You're going to lose 50. The other 81 is how the team plays team ball.
Or 62.
61, yeah.
Or 62. Sorry,
62.
I was thinking 181. 62 games. The problem with the Giants right now is, you know, they get happy when they win. Okay. But when they lose, it's sort of the same way they lose. You know, they couldn't get the runner over. They couldn't get the big hit. They couldn't get the sacrifice. Like these people that think we have a chance to catch the Mets. How about the 3 teams ahead of us? You know, people, you know, the schedule is tough. The Giants are going to have the Cubs. And Eric, I can't wait to finally get to meet you on Tuesday. Really excited. We get to have a good group. Dan's going to be with us. Good pizza. We got a ball game. Hopefully the Giants come through. But the Giants sometimes, I think the whole entire thing about the Giants and their leadership is, I know they want to try to be like how it was in 10, 12, and 14, but the game is adapted. The coaches should adapt. The players should adapt. And we're happy when we fail. And I don't like that. You know, we saw San Diego. They did whatever it takes to win. I don't see the Giants doing whatever it takes to win. Little stuff, a bunt, you know, hit behind the runner, a sacrifice fly. We saw, you know, when we were down in San Diego, they had a game where they had a runner at second. They tried to bunt, couldn't do it, but they had a sacrifice to right. The guy gets the third. They then had just a ground ball, and that scores the run. The Giants can't do these little things. And the biggest problem is I'm so sick and tired of us trying to hit homers. You know, I was with Dan the other day. The Giants had 4 runs, 3 homers, but they couldn't put any singles together. I don't understand why we can't put 3 singles together in 1 inning, except for the 9th today. I can't remember where we put 3 singles in together. And I think the Giants sometimes are really living off the past, home runs only, and not doing the simple things. And it's just frustrating, you know. And that,
well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Eric.
No, to your point, Lou, talking about the home run. And that's kind of how the roster has been built. Because, right, is it this primarily a Farhan roster? And what is Farhan? What was he all about? He was all about the 3 true outcomes: the big fly, the strikeout, and the walk. The Giants have been doing 2 of those really well. And that's the problem.
But in the last 5 years, it's been a failure.
It
has. And I know
that's
Farhan's not there anymore, but you also got to remember, Buster gave us the product we have now. And they need to adapt. I think this offseason, I'm hoping Buster's got to get a sack and be tough. Stop being friends with everybody and start thinking it's a business. I got a feeling
he's going to do that.
We'll see. And it's going to be tough because we haven't seen that side of Buster.
I was talking to Jalal Leach. He came on the show, and he's talking about the process of the lift and pull. That's what is being taught. You know, He's more old school. He's kind of what you're saying, Lou, and what you're saying, Dan. Just go out there and make contact. Everything else will take care of itself. But they're trying to lift and pull. And what happens? That's why Chapman strikes out a lot. That's why Willie Adames strikes out a lot. Well, that's why Rafi Devers. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of that going on in the big leagues. Shohei Ohtani has like 154 strikeouts. Judge has got like 130 something strikeouts. Schwarber's got 150 strikeouts. Unfortunately, that's just kind of where the game is. But I want to see a reversion back to old school baseball. I guess I hate using those kind of terms, but it's baseball. Baseball's based on movement, right? You hit the ball, you run, right? And find grass. You know, the home run didn't start coming into existence until a man named Babe Ruth came on the scene. The home runs prior to that were almost non-existent. So
now, Eric, do you think, sorry, Eric, do you think we're now at the time before the steroids happen in like 2019? Do you remember where we had a problem where they weren't scoring runs? Nobody was watching major league baseball. It was sort of dying in the sport. And all of a sudden steroids was trust me, everyone knew steroids was running wild. Everyone knows about Bonds. Everyone knows about Sosa and, of course, the great Rodriguez. But it helped the team bring it back to the next level. I mean, you bring up a great point. There are a lot of teams, but the thing about these other teams, they have a good supporting cast. The Giants don't really have a good supporting cast. Dodgers have a supporting cast. Some of the Yankees, they have a supporting cast, you know, where the thing with the Giants is, you know, I'm not going to badmouth, you know, some of the Buster moves, but a lot of his moves have been sort of tough where we already knew we had a problem with strikeouts. We get Devers. I like Devers. Trust me, when he bats, I like to watch. But my God, he came up today. 1, 2, 3. Hey, thanks for coming. No problem.
Yeah, that was
you know what I mean? And it's just kind of the point. We look at Chapman. You know, he struck out 4 times the other day. He struck out 3 today. He did come through, but the majority of the time he doesn't. And it's like, it's hard to watch baseball when there's so many strikeouts. That's all I'm saying.
Know. I agree.
Ruins the game. So
I agree with you. I hate the strikeout. Unfortunately, that's what this game seems to thrive off of it. People seem to don't care, right?
And Eric, maybe you're bringing up a great point, but I only really watch the Giants. And then maybe if there's another game on, I know there's a lot of strikeouts, but my God, you know, when you go 8 out of 10 games where you're striking out 11, 15, today, you know, we had 14. The Giants won and they still struck out 14 times. You know, I mean, to me, that's very, very, you know, lucky, but they got the win and you got to give them credit and you got to give, you know, Chapman the credit because first of all, that was a huge double. You know, we've been sort of waiting for Chapman. I've been riding Chapman's ass. Dude, come through when it's clutch. He came through, so I'm going to give him credit. But at the same time, you know, the rest of his days, strikeout. And, you know, as Dan laughs, it's the exact same pitch. I've never seen somebody that's 0-2 so often. And usually, you know, and then the other thing is you just look at this lineup. You know, it's like they're so... You know, Matos, big game today, 2 hits, but 2 strikeouts. Chapman, 3 strikeouts. You know, our best hitter who's been hot as hell, you know, Dominic Smith, 3 strikeouts. Lee, a strikeout. Ramos, 2 strikeouts. You know, it's just getting to the point where, you know, our team, and again, I feel bad for the pitchers because we are almost, our pitching staff is almost like when we called Giants torture, which, you know, was 12 and 13. Our pitchers go in and they feel they have to do a shutout because they don't think our offense is going to score more than 3 runs, you know, and we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to go see the Cubs. Cubs, you know, are starting to get hot. They're starting to feel it again. Tucker's had a huge weekend series, but, you know, when you're going to see the Giants, especially at home, you know, now we're coming back home. Here's the other thing that Dan brought up the other day on our show. Giants have had a problem at home. We not only do we strike out a lot, we just don't score. We're going to a night game where what are we 1-13 our last 14 home games? The Cubs are hot as a thing. You know, who's got the advantage? And I think maybe I'm a little disappointed in the Giants because it seems like every game we're up against it. And, you know, I want to be the favorite in all these games. I want to go where I feel the Giants are going to have a fun time. It's just, you know, it's tough. We're going back home. We don't know why. Dan enough was nice enough to show me a great video with not Susan, but the other girl who works for the Chronicle.
And Killian.
And Killian.
Killian, yeah.
Great thing. She cannot figure out why the Giants are so bad at home. We're horrible at home. We are one of the few teams that are below 500 at home, and nobody can figure it out. The problem is we have great players that play great on the road, and at home, I don't know if it's the ballpark. I think it's more of the players that we have. The aspect of the night games, as Dan always says, we always score during day games. At night games, the ball doesn't travel so much because we got these guys that think they can hit homers. They're not homer guys. They'll hit a ball center field. It goes 390, and the crowd gets excited because we hit it good, but it goes 390. It's not 420. We hit it to, the warning path. We're sort of lucky. So, it's a little frustrating, but I'm hoping the Giants realize, hey, we have some young guys, give them an opportunity because it's going to make the offseason that much easier, Eric. Buster's going to know, okay, guys, we have money we can spend because we have youth that are under contracts. And then either we can make a move or we realize, okay, guys, we have a serious problem. And he does something because, we're talking what, how many games now? We're 131. So we got 31 games left. I don't think we're not going to the playoffs. Let's forget about that. But let's see what we have for 2026. And I think the Giants finally got to say something. And I'd love for Buster to say, guys, we're not at, and I'm sick and tired of us being the third wild card. Guys, we're not there yet. Give us a little time and we're going to be there. But be up front, and stop. That's all we want. That's all we want as a fan is just to be up front.
What I think it might be, some of it is it might send a wrong message to the fan base saying, hey, he's going to go out there and say, we want to compete. He's going to say that, right? We were going to compete. But in reality, he probably knows it's going to be a little while. Don't get me wrong. They're still going to try to field the best team they can. But realistically, how's it going to sound? Hey, guys, come back in 3 years when we got winning baseball. You know what I'm saying?
But other teams have done it. Look at the Cubs did it. Baltimore's admitted, hey, guys, give us a couple of years. You just got to be up front because I think, what? The Giants fans are bright enough that they realize, hey, no problem. I just don't like when they say, hey, Eric, I'm glad you're a season ticket holder. We're competing for the third wild card.
Yeah.
Not the division, not nothing. And, it's gotten old. I barely think we're going to be right around the 500 mark. Some of these guys that are under the Giants, umbrella think, oh, we still have a chance. Okay. Why do they keep saying we're going to be close enough and we can catch the Mets? Mets aren't the only team in front of us. Has anybody not looked? Arizona's in front of us. The Reds are in front of us.
The Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, so you got to be realistic.
But they're not really world beaters either. They're not that great. We're
not either.
Exactly. I think we can all
that's all I'm saying.
Right. No, absolutely. I'm not saying that the Giants are better than them, but there's a lot of teams ahead of the Giants that aren't that great. Now the Mets, for the most part, I would think, put something together. They're pitching though. Woo. Mark's in the chat there. He can allude to what the.
Let's get a couple of these super chats here. Rob says home runs cater to short attention spans. Yeah, that's true, Rob. And the Dash Hound dude says I'm a Dodgers fan and don't follow the Giants, but love hearing Dan's Matt Chapman rant. Okay, let me get you one here in a little bit. I'll go on one. Rob again. Giants status quo is fine versus 49ers. How do we better our team? Yeah, those are great questions. Look, guys, those are things we need to be discussing. What do the Giants do? You guys were talking about the strikeouts, talking about this Buster. I heard Eric say, I think Buster will address this issue to make this team. Oops, let me get this one up. There we go. To make the team better. What do you think they can do to make this team better going forward? Because you're locked into Chapman, you're locked into Adames, you're probably locked into Lee, which is okay. He's not as big a problem with the strikeouts. There's other issues there, but he's coming around, I think. Bailey, I'm not so sure if you're locked into. There
I
might
don't
be a
think
change
so.
there. So with Chapman and Adames, I don't think those guys, even if they agreed to a trade, unless the Giants were willing to pay a huge portion of their remaining salaries, I don't think they're going to trade either of those guys, which I personally think one of them should go because I don't like the two together, especially back-to-back in the lineup. It's just like, boom, boom, sit down, boom, boom, sit down. It's like those guys need to be 3 or 4 guys apart minimum, in my view. Like, maybe one of them second, another one 6th or 7th, but that 3-4 crap's got to stop. You can't continue to do that. Otherwise, you're looking at sub 500 again, as long as those two guys are riding, in the same lineup back to back. They're too much alike. You get down 0-2, they're pretty much toast because they don't have fight off,
The approach.
swings. They don't. They just keep swinging for the fences. So what do you think the Giants can do? What can be done next year to make them better, more competitive?
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. Talking about Buster Posey, I don't think Ramos is locked in left field. There could be something there. Right field is, and who knows? Does Matos take it, or do they improve that? And to your point, I think catcher might get addressed. I mean, that's kind of where you go, right? I think second base, right? I think we're all comfortable of having Casey Schmidt take second base. I like it. I don't mind him being at second base. But the outfield, I think, is going to be addressed. That's where you're going to have to get some guys that are going to be your quote unquote contact guys. You got plenty of the guys who are going to swing for the fences already on the roster. You don't need any more of those guys. You're going to need guys out there that's going to get on base for those guys, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think they're calling Juan Soto Juan Solo for the simple fact that he's got a bunch of solo home runs because no one's getting on ahead of him, right? I think I'm right, Mark. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, you if you're not going to score runs, well, you ain't going to freaking win a bunch of games. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting. Starting pitching, that's going to have to be addressed as well. They're going to have to at least get a number 3, right?
I think the Giants need 2 more established major league starters.
One of them better than the other. I wouldn't mind what's his kid? The kid from freaking Philadelphia, Ranger Suarez is going to be a free agent. I wouldn't mind having him, right? And then go get someone of lesser ilk, I get. And speaking of which, how about that? Zach Wheeler out for the entire. He's going to be out for like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, he's not coming back until first part of next year, April, May.
That's tough for the freaking Philly. But I think they go get pitching. I think they address the outfield and maybe. And I know that it's been bandied about with the news of Basallo getting his extension. Hasn't even played one game in a major, or has he? Did he get called up?
Yeah, Basallo's up.
He's up. So he's only been up for a cup of coffee, and he's already got an extension.
Yeah.
He's already got an extension. So maybe how would you like that? I mean, that's something we could talk about. I don't know if you want to do it now. Adley Rutschman, how would you feel about him being on the Giants?
Well, I did put out a tweet the other day that I thought he would be a good candidate for the Giants to go after. And then somebody made a good comment that his OPS has been going down the last 3 years.
It has.
And I didn't.
Is he been fighting injury? Someone said he was fighting injury.
He's a switch hitter that can actually hit.
I'm tired of the switch hitting catchers, man.
Yeah, Bailey's kind of messed that one up. But I don't know. I mean, he's arbitration eligible. He's got 2 more years of arbitration before he hits free agency.
Right.
It appears that they are not going to give him a big contract, Baltimore. They're going to go with Basallo. They like Basallo's bat and his age and all of that. They'll probably just ride. They may trade Rutschman if they get the right package, but is he the guy?
Would you say the Orioles' leverage has dropped because they gave that extension to Basallo?
That they leverage is what?
That they lost some leverage.
Trying
to ask a lot for Rutschman.
Maybe a little bit. Sure. Yeah. And the fact that he hasn't been consistent. But he's definitely better than Bailey, as a hitter. But I don't know. I think the Giants have to look at trying, and this is going to be the hard part. This is going to be the very the biggest difficult decision they have. I don't think they'll do it, but I think their best bet would be to go find a really athletic second baseman that can steal bases, can hit for average. Somebody like an Xavier Edwards. I don't think Miami would get rid of him, but maybe the right package they would. And I would try my darndest to trade Chapman, get him to agree to a deal, whether he gets financially incentivized to do that or you got to pay him to go to a good team. He's got to agree to it, because then you can move Casey over to third where he's a better hitter. He's going to make more contact than Chapman. He hits the ball really hard. He's 6 years younger. And I think if you play him in his natural position, that will help the Giants. You get a real second baseman in there. I mean, Casey's fine at second base, but he doesn't have the range that, some second basemen have. And he's got a great arm, but Chapman and Adames on the same team to me, is a recipe for not success. I don't see it. I wish I was wrong, but they strike out too much, and you can't have that in your lineup and have Devers and have Bailey and have Ramos.
Okay, here then. This is a perfect segue, Dan. So, what say you about our young kid in Sacramento, Bryce Eldridge? He kind of fits that mold. He's got a big swing, but he also has a lot of swing and miss. Do you want to add someone with that same type of characteristics? Granted, he's young. He's 20 years old. I get it.
Yeah.
I want to see what he could do. Don't get it freaking confused here. The guy could be something special. We don't know yet. But there's also a potential of having a guy that's just like a Chapman and a Adames and a Devers, where there's a lot of swing and miss, and he's taking his bat back to the dugout. What do you think?
That's a tough call, because you're right. He does not fit this team in that he just adds one more. If he's striking out at 33% in Sacramento, it's not going to get better in the big leagues, at least the first year or two. Okay.
Right.
At least the first year or two. He may learn to cut that down. If he can, I'm fine with a guy that strikes out 25+% of the time, like an Ohtani who hits 45 homers to 50
25,
homers.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can live with Ohtani's strikeouts because he does so much else. Other things. He steals bases. He hits home runs. He puts pressure on the defense. He's a threat every time he comes up. But if you now this whole thing with Eldridge, and we thought we'd talk about this. Do we want to bring him up this year, right now? He's eligible to come up. He's not going to lose his rookie status for next year. Let's break this down even more. Do you think the Giants should bring him up this year? I believe they should. And here's why. I believe he needs to be challenged, and I also believe that he needs to face what he's going to struggle. He's going to hit some home runs, but he's going to strike out a lot. But I think he needs to see, like, oh crap, I need a lot to work on my game in the offseason. And if you don't let him see big league pitching, like spring training, come on, that's not big league pitching. Those are guys that are not even, half the guys don't even make the AA team. When they just bring up guys for arms, it seems like, so I want him to get his at bats. He can get up to 130 or 129. As long as he doesn't go over 130, he doesn't lose his rookie status. So bring him up, get him 125 at bats, see what he has. Don't expect miracles, but what he can do is take that offseason and go, I know what I got to work on now. I know big league pitching is a lot different than what I'm seeing in even AAA. That's my thought. What do you guys think?
Go for it, Lou.
I think the Giants realize they put Eldridge on a pedestal so high, and he's just above average. I think they realize, and if the Giants don't bring Eldridge up, I think they realize he's not as good as maybe he is, and he could be a possible trade in the offseason because there's no reason why he's not on. We're not going to the playoffs. Okay. Look at the team we have now. I don't want this for next year. We have a lot of guys that are like 4A players because we're stuck with basically 3 or 4 guys no matter what. Put Eldridge up. If not, tell us why he's not up. Why is he not up? Give the fans something to cheer about. The ballpark after the Cubs are gone and the Dodgers, nobody's going to go see the Giants because, first of all, why do they keep thinking they're in it? Okay. They're 6. First of all, do me a favor, Giants. Be 500. Then you can think of the playoffs. Okay. You're not even 500 yet. Okay. Be 500. Then you can see, okay, we got to go with 5 teams. They're talking like, guys, we're still in it. You're not even 500. You're 5 games below. What is wrong with you people? Get 500, then do it. But bring Eldridge up so you can give the fans something to think about with the future. That's all I'm saying. Let us see. Because like I said, Eldridge has struggled. I'm glad he's not here right now, but show us what we have. If we know, I'd rather they bring Eldridge up, and if he struggles, then we know Giants need to do something. But they sort of like are teasing us. Guys, we have Eldridge. We have Eldridge. Okay, well, let us see us. Most people don't watch AAA. We watch, all we ever hear is, oh, Eldridge hit 2 homers. But we never talk that he struck out 4 times on, 13 pitches. He's struggling defensively. We never hear anything. All we hear is the positive. Well, show us. I mean, I would love to go to the game on Tuesday and the Giants make a move. I don't need to see these other guys that they bring up that I know have no future with the Giants. Show me Eldridge and show me the future. Being a season ticket holder and being a fan, you owe that to us. Just give us what we want to see. That's all I'm asking. Even if he struggles, at least we get to see him. I want to see him up close. I want to see how good this guy can be. Because for 2 years, you guys have been making him like he's the combination Will Clark, Terry Whitfield, Brandon Belt combo. Okay, well, you know what? You guys keep talking, saying how good this guy is. Let us see him. We have not, who cares if he struggles? At least show us. We're not going to the playoffs. Forget about the playoffs. Give the fans something to look forward to 2026. That's all I'm asking.
All right, you got a week to go before September 1st.
Right.
I see a comment in here regarding, okay, so is when
the
where we
super
see up 1 of 2. Maybe, Rob, maybe it's September 1st. He
Maybe.
can come up now. But there's another question or comment in here. I can't seem to find
Thanks,
it.
Rob.
But it was related to Flores, like goodbye Flores. Do you let Wilmer Flores walk right now? Do you give him his unconditional release so he might be able to sign on with a playoff contender?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Do you bring up Eldridge and say, you know what, Wilmer, thank you for everything. You've been a great Giant. We're not going to make the playoffs this year. And I think he's a free agent, right? Is he a free agent? Yeah. Say, look, maybe you catch on with the Mets again. Maybe the Mets pick you up as that pinch hitter that they could use. Maybe, some team that could just use a pinch hitter. I think the Giants should consider that. But, Eric, give us your thoughts on this with Eldridge. What's your thoughts on bringing him up?
Well, is it going to hurt that they bring him up? No, it's not. Because look, are the Giants in the running for anything? No, they're not. Right? They're not in the running. It's not. Is it with him coming up in September? Is that going to be a determination on whether or not he's going to be on the team next year? No, it's not. Good. Does he get a taste of the major leagues? Sure, he does. I just want him to get more reps. That's kind of where I'm at. I want him to get more reps because it sounds like reading between the lines by some of the comments from both Buster Posey and JT Snow. He's still got a little bit of work to do at first base. Granted, he's been fielding it pretty well, but from what I've heard, it's still, hey, it's a work in progress with him at first base. So let's see what happens. I'm all for him to get the reps because, well, okay, say September comes around. How many times is he going to be in the starting lineup?
I would just play him every day.
But would the Giants do that? That's the key.
Eric, here's my question. You got Devers, who's happy at first base. Can he play another position?
Nope. DH.
Shortstop. Rafi's a great shortstop.
DH.
No,
that's
Devers. I'm just
Giants
saying. You know what I mean? I mean, that's
Yeah.
where sometimes, we always criticize Melvin and the coaching.
Right.
These guys got to realize you just got a guy now for another 7-8 years with Devers, who's not going to play third base. He's going to be a DH or first baseman. So when you have someone like Eldridge, you got to have him play other positions just in case. It's almost like the Giants are almost hurting. Hopefully we don't get another injury, knock on wood. And then we got to bring Eldridge up. It's like, come on, guys.
And Lou, to your point, why aren't they? If that's the case, right? If the Giants are all about versatility and that's what they want, why have we not seen Bryce Eldridge in the outfield whatsoever? There's a reason. There's a reason, I think. And from what I've heard, he's not that great in the outfield.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because that's a hole, right? Again, right field has been an abyss. So
I'd stick him in left field because that's easier at Oracle. But I think he can play left field. I mean, we saw Michael Morse play out there, and we saw Darren Ruff, and
Ishikawa.
Darren
Ishikawa
Ruff
only played 12 games, and he was there for the playoffs. I mean,
Here's something to chew on. This is from NorCal Sports Talk Live, right? Is that?
Yeah, I don't know who that. Yeah. Okay. I've seen him around.
And that's a little bit of a take between Giants Sports Talk Live and NorCal.
Yep.
You cannot have Chapman and Astros in the same lineup, and you cannot risk having Eldridge be some disgusting Chapman belt hybrid in the end, not cashing in on his trade value. Now, let me ask you this. Is it possible that they're not bringing him up because they don't want him
to be exposed?
And they may be looking to trade him in the offseason.
Tim Kawakami.
Did Tim say something with this?
Tim Kawakami said on his TK podcast.
When was
this? Thinks
recently?
Yeah, recently. It's matter of fact, I think it's someone's. Oh, go to Around the Foghorn. They wrote an article on that, and he said he thinks that the Giants may trade him.
I think they may too. I think they
whatever
may.
That means. Would you? Okay. Would you trade him? Who would you trade him for? Let's talk about guys.
I put together a trade. I put together a trade for sending him to the Marlins, along with Bailey for Augustin Ramirez, their catcher, who can smoke it. Not a great catcher, but
and a pitcher.
2 pitchers.
Okay.
And I was getting back Robbie Snelling, who's a top 40 prospect lefty, and then I was getting back was it Alcantara? Sandy Alcantara, who will be off 1 year removed from Tommy John. So that would give you a solid pitching staff. And then I would also have Xavier Edwards in that deal. It fit the trade machine.
Shit. So you're saying Bailey and Eldridge can get 4 players?
Yeah, could get you 4 players.
And then guess what? Hey, Dan, and let's even add to this more. Giants are only going to be at $160 million. So you could still go out and buy if you have to. You could go out there and buy another outfield because you're going to get 2 pitchers. You're going to get your catcher, and then you got another infielder. You said who was it? Xavier Edwards. He's an infielder, right?
Yeah, Xavier Edwards is a great second baseman. He's a 300 hitter. He can steal 30 to 40 bases. He's I say, he's a perfect leadoff hitter.
That would be
leadoff hitter.
We're not going to get Stowers. They just traded for Stowers last
You're not going to
not
get
this
Stowers. I see somebody in
No.
the chat says Alcantara is washed. Well,
No way.
nobody does well off usually after.
first
Like,
year
think of
after
Robbie
Palmer.
Ray last year. Alcantara will probably be what Robbie Ray is this year.
This year. Correct. Right.
And so Alcantara should be back to form. I love Yuri Perez. I also love Cabrera.
Yeah.
They've also got Ryan Weathers, who someone mentioned in the chat. The Marlins have good young pitching. The Marlins would love a guy like Bryce Eldridge, where they would have 6 full years of control before he hits free agency. He's 20, 21. He fits, along their. I don't think they'd get rid of Ramirez. They might if you gave up Eldridge and you sprinkled back with Bailey, but I don't know how you can. Yeah, but that's what I would look. You could kill 3 birds with
2 stones.
2 stones, maybe a stone and a half.
I get you.
But I mean, you get pitching, you get catcher, and you get a second baseman. And then if I would work the phones and I would work hard all off season to move Chapman. I really would. And if you can't move Chapman, you might hate to say this because, I love Casey, but you might have to move a Casey if you were able to get an Edwards, because Casey's value is going up and would bring you someone of worth. Somebody's going to see the value of Casey playing third. Forget the throwing errors in San Diego, okay? He threw 3 balls away, okay? Happens. He was playing in front of his hometown, friends, family. He was probably trying to do a little too much, and I've seen him play third base. That's not the norm of him throwing the ball away. You see when he has time to set up, his throws are rifles, but we'll see. Some people say he's not trading. Dan, delusional, buddy. They ain't trading Chapman. I don't think they will either, but that's not what this show's all about. It's about ideas.
That's fair. It would be tough. I brought this up on Marty's show, and look, I can't stand watching Chapman take swings. He's gonna have to go to. Where's Jalal? Go talk to Matt Chapman, because there's just something wrong with the swing. Look, his glove is awesome, right? We all can say that his glove is awesome, and he actually has a decent eye. It's just there's something mechanically wrong with that swing somewhere. But the problem is they gave him that extension. It's going to look bad on the organization if they just extended him and then, hey, we're going to ship you off after we're giving you a no trade. It sucks because the Giants did paint themselves in the corner by doing that. But you got to be careful because you got to watch about what the rest of the league is going to think of that. Talking about free agents that may want to come here. They could say, is that how they're going to treat me if I start scuffling? Are they going to ship me packing even if I got a no trade? So that is just something you have to think about.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be easy. I'll tell you, it just isn't easy. Whether you keep him and he continues down the path he is, or whether you try to ship him off. I mean, it ain't going to be easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I see a lot of different people's comments in here in the chat, which everybody has opinions, which that's what sports is all about. We can agree to disagree on certain things. Somebody says that's if 3 throws, that's who he is. Yeah, you could say that for that week. Had a bad series with the throws. Made some other great plays. Then you see somebody else that says he's a 4A player, Turd Ferguson. I would say if you're watching baseball a lot, Turd, you'd have to look at Casey and say he's probably the most improved player on the team.
Yeah, it's improved.
I mean, even all the announcers see it. I mean, his approach at the plate, what he was a year or two, the first year, and then he got a little better last year, but the first year he was chasing everything. Remember, he was all those pitches,
low and aways,
just swing. Now he's learning to take, and he's cut down on his strikeouts.
Fleming pointed that out. Yep, saying
yeah.
last year he would have swung at that, and he took a walk.
Yeah. So he's definitely getting better as the more pitches he sees, and that's the example of why I've been saying they've got to play Matos. They got to give him the time. Got to give Matos the time. It looks like they've probably given up on Luciano unless they bring him up on September 1. But
and you know what? They're gonna, and that's that. You can almost guarantee Matos or Luciano, maybe both, is going to be one or the other is going to be traded, maybe both, because they're both out of options after this year.
Yeah.
So they either got to be on the roster or bye-bye.
Yeah. Yep. And Matos to me would be the more value because he can, make contact. That's one of the problems. Luciano's another strikeout guy. I agree with this with Senior. I was going to mention this a couple days ago. I don't know. Maybe I did. I could see Casey getting the Willie Mack this year.
Could see it.
Because of
Robbie Ray, Casey. I could see either of those guys.
Yeah. It should be interesting. Yeah.
People forget he might be the only one that's going to hit 25 homers, 30 homers. I mean, the guy's had a great year considering
Who's
he didn't
that?
start all year. Casey.
He's not hitting 25 homers. He's only got 9.
What?
Are you talking about Adames?
No, Casey Schmidt.
He's got 9 homers.
9? Are you sure?
Yeah. Are you looking at RBIs?
9 times.
You must be looking at RBIs.
9 times.
I thought he has 4 just in August. I thought he has more than 9 homers.
No, he's only got 9 homers.
Yeah, Willie's got like 23, 24, something.
Okay,
like
because
no,
the one thing about Dan, I say the bat comes, the ball comes off Casey's bat different than any other player.
Yeah, he gets some hard contact, no doubt about it.
He makes hard contact, and the Giants need something. So I just, I thought he had more homers. That's my fault because just recently I know he has, 4 in the August, and it seemed like, he's been good. That's my fault, and I take full blame. Sorry, Chap. But, the one thing about this team is, and I think Eric and Dan bring it up, we need to build something, a player that we can follow up on. If the Giants just go young, just go after Chapman, because I don't see a future with going after Chapman. Okay. I don't think the Giants going anywhere if he's who we're building around. We got to do something, like this year, to tell you the truth. I think Jung-Hoo Lee, I've never seen fans go so crazy over a guy that's average at best. You hear the chat, you see the idiots with that flame thing in the crowd. Jung-Hoo Lee, they're making him like he's a 320 batter. Again, maybe his problem is he doesn't know if he's leading off, he's batting 6th, he's batting 7th. They need something to look. Fans need something to look forward to when they go to the games. Too many strikeouts. Our defense, with Chapman, we know he's not going to come through the majority of the time. And I think that's going to be Buster's biggest problem. He's going to have to actually bite the bullet and say, guys, and he won't say, but we made a mistake. So we need to do something. I just want the Giants, and Dan's favorite word is have a direction. How can we improve this team? The other thing is we're talking about Eldridge. If the Giants see Eldridge as a problem striking out so much, don't you think the rest of the major league sees the same thing? Don't you think they have scouts at these games saying, oh, Eldridge can't hit the high fastball? I'm just saying, I know we see problems. I assume the rest of the league. So I think for us to improve the team, I think we're going to have to give a lot more than just Bailey, who we know isn't a great catcher, and Eldridge. I think it's going to have to come to a point where we're going to have to give up some of these guys and, forget about being a lover of a player. We got to do what's going to be best to make this team better. It's like, maybe it's Schmidt. Maybe it's someone like Lee and a pitcher that we're not thinking of, because we keep talking, we'll trade Eldridge and Bailey and we'll get somebody. But if we know Eldridge is a problem striking out, I think the whole league knows it because they're probably saying, why hasn't he bought up yet? Oh, he's at 30%. Dan says, oh, well, if he's striking out 30% in the pros, it's maybe 40%. I think we got to start thinking what can we do? Who can we give up to improve this team? And I think it's not going to be easy. And, Eric, I hope Buster, can pull it off, because everybody else in our division is going to adjust and try to be better for next year. We need to do it. What are we going to do so we can actually try to improve our team? I just think and guys, Lee, come on. I know he was out last year. If it wasn't for Lee, we would have never saw Ramos. And that's my one problem with the Giants is, they held Ramos back. We only got Eldridge. We only got Ramos because of an injury. We only got Casey because of an injury. I think the Giants front office really isn't that good, because they keep thinking our players aren't as good as they are. They get lucky when someone's injured. Yeah.
So I got to go. I have an emergency.
Okay, no problem.
I know what it is.
I got to console my wife.
Yeah, I hear you.
We got it.
My mother-in-law just passed just now.
Oh, we're so sorry, Dan.
I got to
go. All right, Dan, we got
Me
this.
and Eric will hold the fort.
Thanks.
All right, guys.
So Eric, I'm just trying to bring that up. And again, I don't know what the solution is. I think this year the Giants are going to be tough, where they're going to have to make major decisions and just do what's best. Because look at our team right now. We're 5 games below 500, right? We got to jump 6 teams. So how are we going to prove with the same team? We're just going to be a year older. Are you telling me that Casey Schmidt's going to improve so much that he's going to be our guy? Our other guys are going to be a year older. Eldridge, who we know has a problem, is just obviously going to be our savior. We just got a lot of problems. It's, and it sort of sucks being a fan where we're sort of stuck. You know what I mean?
Right.
Eric, it's like, and again, I don't know what the solution is. I don't think, I know Dan's big thing is, hey, let's trade Webb. I don't think to ever trade Webb because they don't have enough guts, even though that's probably what can get us the most. And the other thing too, and Dan brought this up the other night, we have Ray for 1 year. So what are the Giants going to do? It's his walk year. Are we going to trade him in the offseason, try to get something for him? Or are we going to keep him and then not trade him at the right time where we're going to lose him? Or are we going to sign him to a 4-year? Who knows? Next year, 4 years, 130 million. It's tough. Go ahead.
To answer your last question first, but before that, guys, I see all the support in there with the chat. Appreciate that. Again, thoughts and condolences to Dan's wife's family. That's tough. Hopefully, gosh, actually there is no hopefully. It's just, unfortunately, it's part of life and
life, family.
It's tough, man.
So valuable,
it's tough.
Yeah.
So, but to your question about Ray, you know what? I got a feeling, Lou, that if Birdsong and Roop and some of these other guys were performing a little bit better this year, I think they may have traded Ray. But right now, you're down to 2 pitchers. That's it. And now
they're not going to bring back Verlander, right?
No,
even if maybe he's 12 million. Okay.
No, if they do that, I would be shocked, to be honest with you. But next year, depending on what happens at the trade deadline next year, maybe then if Ray is not part of your future, you could trade him for a good a team, because you could probably get a lot for him at the trade deadline next year. So at this particular time, I don't think you could, just for the simple fact you don't have the arms to be able to go do that. As a matter of fact, they're going to have to go and buy an arm, maybe even trade one. And as Dan said, probably a couple over the offseason, because we just don't know what's going to happen with the rotation. But the thing is and I've said this a bunch of times, Lou, is with the game of baseball, it just takes time. We all want the fix to happen now. But Buster Posey just got done with his first draft. He's going to go through another offseason. I got a feeling, and this is just me spitballing, I got a feeling that this offseason is going to have a little bit more action than it did last year. Not necessarily maybe the big signings, but it could. But I'm talking about as depth, as in how many that he's going to get. We'll see. I hope they do, because as you said, Lou, there's certain guys on this roster I don't think that you can afford to have come back. And look, and I'm not trying to shit on players. It's just, this is what we see. Bailey needs to be looked at. Right field has to be looked at. You need starting pitcher. Ramos in left field. He's got a good bat, right? It's decent. He's got strikeout in it, right? But
he's more of a liability out there.
Right. Is that the type of player Buster Posey wants to have as far as his ideas of how he wants to have a team. So there's a possibility they make 2 moves in the outfield in the offseason, plus a catcher and a starting pitcher. Now, yeah, I think it's going to take some ingenuity. You're going to have to do trades. You're going to have to work the free agent. But as long as they improve every single year with the roster, I think we'll start seeing some improvements. It's just where we're sitting right now just stinks. And look, I think the team has underperformed to a certain extent, considering what's on paper. I've been disappointed with the way Adames has played in the beginning of the season, but what he's doing now, his last couple of months have been okay. They've been okay. Chapman has been a disappointment, right? Ramos has been okay. Jung-Hoo Lee, he started off pretty damn good. Then he slumped. Now he's starting to find it again. I like that. I still love the Devers move. I know there's a lot of people I hear that don't like it, but I like the Devers move. I got a feeling that maybe next year, hopefully, he will be better. Again, you're now more acclimated. You're not changing in the middle of the season with a new team. You know what to expect. And then we'll see what Buster Posey does. And I think what you're trying to say too, Lewis, we just want the team to go out there and succeed. We're tired of seeing losing. I'm tired of the L's.
You know what? When I go to the game, I don't mind if they lose, but I want to be entertained. And I think all these strikeouts really sort of brings it to another level.
It does.
Hey, we're going Tuesday night to see the Cubs.
Yeah.
I'm excited because hopefully the Giants, hey, they take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. They show me a little effort, like, hey, we're here to play. They have an opportunity of a team in front of them and they can knock them out. But, I don't want to see like a 5-1, 5-1. Yeah, losing sucks, man. It sucks. It's one of those things. It's sort of amazing. And what makes baseball great is every March before opening day, you think, God, could this be the year? And I know it's been over a decade, but, all I want is to have a team over 500 entertaining. When you make the playoffs, then you go to another level. But, you got to give us a team. And, I think, if Buster didn't have gray hair this offseason, he's going to get it.
There's no doubt about it.
It's going to be huge. He's got to realize, what am I going to do with a lot of times, what are we going to do with our coaches? What are we going to do with Melvin? How can I make this team better? I mean, there's a lot. And I think going into the season, there were a lot of question marks. But now it's almost like we've doubled. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my God, a year went. But, that happens. And it's baseball. That's why when you get to the playoffs and you win it, you really have to appreciate it. I mean, what we did 3 and 5 years may never be done again, especially now with baseball. It's so close. Some teams are 2 years away. Some teams are there. Like you think of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a machine. They got rid of one of their best players. They're 27 games over. They got the best record. You have the Dodgers. It's amazing. That's what makes baseball unique, because you never know what's going to happen.
That's great. And to your point about the Milwaukee Brewers, they didn't just lose one. They lost Adames. They traded away Hader. They lost, they traded
Hader midway through the season.
Corbin Burns. Remember, they traded Corbin Burns. So they got rid of a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And they're having
And that's why sometimes when now remember, Hader was the best reliever at the time.
At
people
the time.
Go, what the hell are you doing? And that's why too many fans get so hooked onto these players. Oh, why would we trade Webb? I'm just throwing an analogy out. If we can improve the team and get 3 or 4 prospects, because he's our best leverage guy, you almost have to do it. If you go 3 or 4 years with the same people over and over again, and you're not 500, you got to make a change. So sometimes you have to trade your best
Devin
guys.
Williams. Yep. Devin Williams.
It happens.
Devin Williams. That's 4 guys they got rid of. That's crazy. Rob says gamble on another team surplus the Rule Friday. Yeah, there's no doubt. You could maybe pluck a couple of guys there. Gilbert is going to have to be on the 40-man. Otherwise, he will go on the Rule 5 draft as well this coming winter. So it's going to be interesting. Again, it's just we'll see how this is all going to play out, man. I just want to see freaking some winning baseball, and how they're going to get there. It ain't going to be easy, man. It ain't going to be easy. And hey, he's got a challenge ahead of him. Talking about Buster Posey, And I'm interested just to see how this is going to play out this offseason. And, you know, how are they going to finish out the rest of the season?
Yeah.
Who are they going to give the run to?
Agree. Eric, I just want to bring a comment by Tim Schmidt. 3 years ago, we were 2 games under 500. So we've added Devers, we've added Lee, and we've added Adames, and we have a worse record.
Yeah.
So I know we didn't have them then, and it's weird because we keep getting guys we think are going to improve the team. It might just be something the scouts just don't know what they're doing. It's got to be something because, you know, I've used this terminology a lot. We've only had one winning second half season since 2015. That's almost hard to do. You know, other teams are doing better. And the other thing is we look at the Giants, you know, with this new realignment thing, you know, who knows if it's going to happen. But these other teams are also trying to improve. You know, if Arizona doesn't make it this year, you know, they were in the World Series 2 years ago. They're going to try to improve. The Dodgers are always going to be there. The Padres this year, we said, oh, my God, the Padres with the new ownership and the family fighting, they're not going to be anywhere. They're ahead of us.
I said when all this stuff was going down in the offseason, I know there was a lot of people out there saying that the Padres are going to fall away. I was like, look, they still have a good roster and they have a good manager. They're going to get some stuff done. Look, if they have issues with their paycheck, okay, maybe you have issues. But as long as they're getting paid and they have the talent, hey, they're going to be just fine. And look what they're doing. They may win the NL West.
They're tied right now, 31 games left. I mean, it was funny. We were down there and, you know, Dan goes, God, it's not a big crowd for the Thursday game. I go, Dan, they're getting 36,000. It's a Thursday day game when the biggest series is next, you know, and
next
24 hours.
Series. Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like the Giants. And I think what's really rough on the Giants fans is when the Devers trade happened and some of these crowds out at the ballpark, you could feel it probably for the first time since 2021 or maybe even say 2016. The fever was back in the ballpark. The problem is the Giants just weren't producing. You know, I mean, look at right now. There is no home field advantage with Oracle. My God, we're 13, 1 in 16. Something is wrong. And it's just, you know, one of those things like, you know, we're going Tuesday night to the game. We're going to be meeting a whole bunch of people for pizza before. But when we go to the ballpark, there'll be, say, 35,000. There's going to probably be 15, maybe more Cubs fans. Cubs travel. You know, that was the one thing when it used to be San Diego Padres. When the Giants went to San Diego, it used to be, you know, Oracle North,
Park South
or whatever, right? It wasn't like that. Right. So it's going to be, there'll be a lot of, I mean, I saw a highlight last night of the Cubs game and the first 8 rows on the dugout were all Cubs fans. It's sort of like how, you know, when the Dodgers travel, they bring their food. That's how it's going to be. Tuesday night, don't be surprised. I mean, obviously in our row, we're going to be supporting the Giants, but everywhere around us, you're going to see Cubs everywhere because it's the only time they come. You know, with this unbalanced schedule, people playing, hey, it's summer. I want to get out of the humidity in Chicago, and they follow the team. You know, let's do this. Let's go to the ballpark. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we can go somewhere else. It's going to be a lot of Cub fans. So it's going to be one of those things that's, you know, which, tell you the truth, growing up with the new ballpark, it was never like that here. It was never, ever like that. And that's the one big changing. But, you know, with the ballpark being filled, Giants just got to perform just a little bit better, especially at home. You know, I know on the road, it's just so frustrating, you know, where, you know, you get excited, you get all fired up. The game starts at 6:20 and, you know, the Giants down like 5-1, 2 errors or something. It's like, oh God, we got to do our post-game show, you know, and again, you know, what's like nice today, Giants won a series, you know, it's fun. So, you know, they just need stuff like that, Eric. That's all I'm saying.
And you know what? To your point, this was a great series win, by the way, because
huge.
The last thing I want to do,
hottest team in the business.
Right. And look, they could have very well won that first game. They could have swept because they were hitting the ball hard, but they were finding gloves. But one thing I don't want the team to do is I don't want them to just lay on the ground, be done, pack it in. Let's go out there and compete. And I want to just see some fire just to see what these guys can do. Marcos, Says Lou Eric, I'm looking forward to seeing Matos if he could keep hitting an Oracle. That is going to be something. If he struggles, I hope he still gets a chance to play every day. Got to let him play, even if he struggles at home.
He's had 2 huge days in a row. I mean, yesterday we were stuck at the airport flying back from San Diego, and I told Dan, "Hey, your boys had a good day." And he goes, "Which one?" I go, "What do you mean?
Which one?
You know, Matos just got a big because if you remember, I think in the 5th inning they had 1 hit.
Yeah.
And I go, Chapman got a big double. Matos got a big hit. You know, and I feel good for Dan because Dan, you know, again, we all have players we support. Dan has been very supportive of probably 3 players. They're doing well, but now they also got to go to another level. You know,
Yes.
it's good. It's good when you're making things, but you know what? Anybody can be good, like a Fitzgerald, for 4 to 6 weeks. To be a pro player, you got to play the whole entire season.
The whole season, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you take, you know, you can't be in a vacuum. You can't just say, well, oh, he sucked today, so we got to get rid of him. Or in baseball, right? Even if you suck for a month, in the bigger scheme of a season, it means absolutely nothing. Because you could turn that right around.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing about the sport of baseball. Luke and I talked about this. Is look at Chapman today. I was like, this is it. Game over. He already had 3 strikeouts. Right?
Yeah.
He already had 3 strikeouts. And I'm like, there's no way he's coming through. Lo and behold, what does he do? The guy that you would expect not to hit the ball hard, hit the ball hard at a gap, leads it off with the double. Next thing you know, it leads to a Giants win. I mean, that's the thing about baseball. It's crazy. He had for all intents and purposes, he had a shitty game, except for the time where it mattered and he actually came through.
And I think what's so great about baseball is with Philly losing their stud, former Giant, of course, I think the NL West is wide open. AL West is wide open. It's, you know, it's sort of funny. Tonight, they talked about on the Boston Yankee game. Yankee tonight, they had lost 8 straight to Boston. It was sort of a must-win for the Yankees, right? You know, but you still have the Yankees in Boston thinking they can get advanced. Nobody talks about Toronto, who's been hitting like 312 as a team. I'm sorry. Let me explain that. 312 as a team, right? So these teams are hitting and I think that's what's great about baseball. It only takes 1 off season and you're back. You know, nobody talked about the Reds, you know, and if you looked at the Reds had a tough schedule. You know, some of these teams are where the Giants had their big, if you remember early in the season, the Giants, I think, went 6-6, no biggie on a road trip, but it was a 12-game road trip. And it goes all the way through major leagues. You know, like the Reds just had their 12-game road trip. The Padres, I think, still have theirs. It's so unique because baseball, it's who you play, when you play, and how you're playing that time of the year. Because we all basically play the exact same schedule. You know, like our big thing is, it's the All-Star break. We have Colorado for 4. Okay. But if you go 2-2, who cares if we are looking forward to playing in Colorado? You know, it's one of those things. And baseball, I know everyone loves football. I'm a big college fan, but there's nothing better than baseball. And that's why it's our, you know, pastime, because anything can happen. You know, you guys might not be fans, right? But when baseball playoffs happen and it's a day game, like game 1 of the National League Divisional Series, I'm watching it. I don't want to miss anything because, you know, anything can happen. It was sort of like when the Giants in 2010, when we played against Philadelphia, I remember where I was. I was at a bar and I was counting the outs, 8 more outs, and we're going to be up 1-0 in game 1, right? Yep. That's what makes so unique. You're blessed when your team's in there, but you're also following it, even if your team's not there, because that's why baseball is so unique. You know, you always watch growing up. I mean, I remember Chris Chambliss homer. I just saw an incredible 30 by 30. And people forget when the Mets won their World Series, they went against the Houston Astros and one of the best National League Division series of all time. In fact, it was funny. They went against Houston. Houston knocked out the Giants because they had a pitcher that pitched a no-hitter. The Mets were down 3-2. They did not want to go back to Houston and face their fireball. They got through. They won in one of the most unbelievable games. I think it was, 13, 14 innings. And then if you remember, they literally were down 2-0. They lost their first 2 games at home. against the Red Sox. And if you remember, they were up 3-2, the Red Sox, against the Mets. In fact, one of the great articles of this 30 by 30 is what's his name, who pitched for Boston and Toronto, the Cy Young guy, 6 times.
Roger
Clemens. He went inside and shaved because he had to get ready for the he had to go get ready for the press conference, like he thought he was going to be it. He went in, shaved. Another guy shaved, and they came out. And, of course, that was the dramatic Mookie Wilson hit to first baseman that got past it. And then, of course, Game 7, they never going to – I mean, we all talk about the Giants being lucky when they won their 3 titles. Watch how the Mets won their title. I mean, they probably were underdogs, should have never won. They were down 3-1 in one, down 3-2 in the other. And, again, that's what's so great about baseball because it's unpredictable. I mean, hopefully this year we'll be talking, later in the offseason. Oh, my God, because everyone knows, did you happen to see what happened in the playoffs this year? And that's what makes baseball so unique and so special. And I think that's why over the years I've become such a big fan. Now, saying that, trust me, I love and I wish the Giants were in the playoffs because it's just a little tinker where I love baseball playoffs, but when the Giants and your team's there, it's sort of like different. It's something exactly.
I tell you what, Lou, I don't know how you got during the playoff runs, but there was always, even as a grown adult here, back in 2010, I had just came back from freaking Germany, right? In June of 2010.
And how big Philly had the best record, was a huge favorite.
Yes.
Huge.
And you know what? I tell you what, every time a game was played, my stomach would get tied up in knots. Just knowing, because in playoff baseball, unlike it is in a regular season, there's not a tomorrow in certain situations. This is it, man. You got to go out there. You got to go get it done. And boy, you want to talk about it's for those of you who have never experienced your team in the midst of a playoff run. It is something that it's almost indescribable. It is just, it's amazing. And then when you go and you win it all, there's not a better feeling than that. Not a better damn feeling.
And Mark Graves, the Mets beat Houston in the National League Championship Series, and then they beat the Red Sox in the World Series. So
back when Houston was actually in the NL West, right?
In the NL West, yeah.
Remember
the pitcher who had the sandpaper and he no-hitted the Giants to win the National League West.
Scott.
Scott.
Was it Scott?
Mark Scott. And so it's just. But yeah, baseball is so unique, I mean, and it's so funny you bring up 2010. I sort of remember all the big games. I remember when Mad Bum at Pittsburgh, that was crazy. The 1-game playoff. If you want to watch a home field advantage turn completely from one hit, if you guys want to watch, the Giants were at Pittsburgh. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. 1-game playoff. Mad Bum was our pitcher who, of course, he basically shut him down. And then, of course, one little hit was the difference. And I know it was a grand slam, but then Pittsburgh knew they were defeated.
Oh, it was the vibe.
It was unbelievable. Gone. Sort of the same thing when Buster, probably his biggest hit of all time, was another grand slam. Sort of ironic how these grand slams at the Reds, if you remember.
They were down 0-2.
They were down 0-2. They lost both games at home. Again, Dusty blew it. He was the manager of the Reds. The Giants came back, and if you remember, it was against our arch rival who we couldn't get
Matt Latos.
Latos that we hated. And that pitch was a grand slam. And again, it wasn't easy because the Giants took the lead, and then Matt Cain got hit. And then, of course, it was the bullpen. An incredible, I think it was 15 pitch to get
what's his
third
name?
baseman out. Yeah.
Scott
An incredible out. Yeah, Scott
Rowland. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things where that's what makes baseball so good. I mean, we're talking about games, not the World Series.
No, getting there. Oh, Blue.
Yeah.
And that Buster Posey grand slam, it was an afternoon game.
Game, exactly.
Right. I'm at home. I'm in base housing for lunch, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's time for me to go back. And as soon as I pull out the driveway, here comes John Miller's call.
Oh, you froze there, kid.
Went back into the
Yeah.
house, and I go, Michelle, my wife, Posey just hit a grand slam. Oh, that was just all right. I gotta go back to work. I drive back to work.
And
I
it's
drive
funny
back to work.
because I'm a big fan of Mad Dog Radio, and he's a Giants fan, you know, because of him growing up as a kid where he got an autograph from a couple Giants in New York. But like, he always brings that up. He goes, you know, he was at work, Mad Dog, and he goes, oh my God, did Buster just hit a grand slam? Are my Giants going back? It's just these little things, you know. I mean, I was lucky enough for the NLCS. Now, the World Series was great, but the NLCS, when the rain was coming down.
Oh, that was magical.
It was magical.
Right?
I was there. And the other thing, too, is not that it was raining. People forget Hunter hit the ball 3 times off his bat.
Yeah,
in the second inning. So you had 2 dramatic things in one game. And it was only game 6.
Right.
You know, it was a 6 or 5. Yeah. Or was it game 7? I can't remember. But that game had 2 memorable things. But again, that's what just makes baseball so unique. You know, you remember where it was, and being a fan, there's nothing better. I mean, I've said this many times. You know, I'm 58 in 2010, you know, which was 15 years ago. I was 43. I was with 5 guys. I know exactly where it was when the Giants won their first World Series. I'd struggled. I'd been there. And there's a great photo a buddy of mine has where there's 5 of us, we're grown men crying because we never, ever figured the Giants would ever win a ring. Remember, Bonds never won a ring. McCovey never won a ring. You know, all these great Giants that, you know, we have statues for, never won a ring. You know, it's one of those things. And that's why it's so special. And I think, you know, yeah, it's been 10 years, but I want that feeling back. You know, and hopefully, you know, Eric with Buster, we can get it back because I think we deserve it.
Right. And look, who was in the middle of all that?
Yeah.
Buster Posey, right? He was in the middle of that. I got a feeling he's going to want to do that. Let's see.
And forget about these old coaches, guys. You know, the one thing is Buster is here. You know, we're not going to bring back Bochy, okay? He's not coming back. He got run out. We got to get guys that are new, you know, thoughtful, something to prove, because every other team is adapting to the new baseball. Yeah, we just need something.
I think what they need is they need a guy who's not only a leader. And look, I'm not gonna say Bob Melvin is not a leader because he might be. We don't know because we're not in the room.
Yeah,
but you got to get a guy who is a leader of men. Right, you got to be able to.
That's
communicate.
not easy. You being in the service, you know, you got to get somebody that earns your respect, and you're going to go to battle for.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's the biggest problem is where you see these guys. And again, I'm not going to use the language as maybe a problem, but when you watch the Giants now, when things aren't going right, you sort of have Melvin and his coaches, and then the players completely opposite. Sort of like, you know, when a pitcher has a perfect game or no hitter going, you don't talk to him. That happens a lot with the Giants where, you know, it's weird. Adames is with his guys, but nobody's with the pitchers. And that's the difference where Bochy, you know, you always felt like Bochy was always intertwining with all the players. You know, like if you saw Casey or Chapman strike out, he'd go up to him, don't worry about it, you'll get him next time. I just don't see that. I don't know if it's the leadership or, you know, the manager's skills. I've always thought Melvin's biggest problem is it's not 2012, 2014 anymore. And he just hasn't adapted to the new baseball, you know, as we know. And again, it's not his fault. He's doing the best he can. But, you know, you being in the service, you know when you have the guy that has the it factor.
Correct.
And Eric, you know, I ain't going to screw this guy. I'm going to do whatever it is
100%
to make him. And that's where I think the Giants are missing. And they just need a manager because you got to remember, we just didn't get Bochy. We made a trade with San Diego to say, hey, we think Bochy can take us to the next level. What's it going to take? You know, Roger Craig, he used Candlestick to our advantage to go to the next level. We just are missing that guy. And again, you know, the Giants might be a 500 team, and maybe with a new manager, it only takes, if we're 500 and we win 5 or 6 more games, which is not that hard.
Right.
We're right there on the playoff thing. That's, you know, I just want to bring that up.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point, Lou. 100%. All right. Hey, Lou, I think we're about done. What you think?
Yeah, everyone. Hey, guys, again, for people that are on Eric's show, I know Glenn's in Vegas, Scorpions. He was all excited.
Yep.
Do me a favor, guys. If you have Eric's email, just wish prayers. As we all know, it's never easy. When you're married and you lose a loved one,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, who knows? Most likely we won't see him on Tuesday. It's family always first. So always do me a favor, guys. When you have your loved ones, I know, I don't show enough love to my parents. If they're still with you or loved ones, just tell them you love them and you are thinking of them. Just do that little extra thing. And
fantastic.
Just for me and Eric, just, hey, make that little extra call. Guys, we're all Giants fans, but it's only a sport. We're here for fun.
Yeah.
But when it comes to family, nothing else should matter. So just, little friendly call, little something. Hey, did you see the Giants took 2 out of 3? Remember, family is always there for you no matter what, especially your parents. So that's
Exactly. Very well put. Guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. And I don't know. Good
show.
Yeah, fantastic show, Lou. Yeah, I don't know what's on store for NorCal, but again, my thoughts and prayers to Dan's wife's family. It's tough. If you need it, hey Dan, if you're watching, if you need anybody to talk to, you got my phone number, and I know Lou, you talk to him often. So if you
just
need
NorCal Sports, just write.
Yeah, NorCalSports@gmail.com.
Just say something. I mean, obviously, if Dan's not going to join us Tuesday night, we'll probably do a little video, send to Dan. Hey, Dan, wish you were here, but it's only baseball. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and guys, again, if anybody's in the Bay Area, we have a big crew. Trust me, I keep hearing these numbers that are sort of getting out of control. If anybody's going to the Giants-Cubs game, let us know. Either ask Eric or ask me if on the show. We're going to have a big group, a lot of fun. It might be the one time where we're all together, and you're always welcome, because without the chat, we don't have a show.
Exactly. 100%. Very well put. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Thanks, Lou.
Thank you, Eric.
Woo!
Thanks, chat.